Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Everything's good. It's great to meet you.
Great to meet you. I love your background.
Thank
That's so
you.
cool.
Yeah, I'm a visual artist, so it's one of my originals. So,
Hey,
yeah,
that's beautiful.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's another one of those creative therapies. I love to get the paints out when I can, so it's fun. What do you got behind you? Is that Matisse?
No, this is Toulouse-Lautrec.
Toulouse, that's right.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. For some reason, I might sometimes some of these painters just kind of melt into themselves. It's a weird psychological quirk, but yeah.
similar style. Yeah, it's from my hometown actually.
Okay.
He's from where I'm from originally. So little
We're
piece of home.
Okay, all right, excellent. Very cool. Well, I'm in the middle of America. I'm in Kansas City, just for context. So,
Mhm.
but it's great to meet you. I'm looking forward to getting into your album, Get Out of Town, and just kind of your life and music. And to begin that journey, I want to know, with 5 years ago, the pandemic was raging. It melted away all of these schedules for musicians. Was it just a time of uncertainty? How did you ultimately get out of it, and how has it influenced your creativity and the way that you do things today?
Yeah, that's a big question. I think we are creatures of, we adapt to whatever situation we're in. And I think during that time, we were all in denial a little bit,
Yeah.
just as a, protective protection. But actually, the pandemic was sort of influenced how I lead a lot of my life today. I mean, I teach exclusively on Zoom, so I do teach singing, and that never stopped. So a lot of those virtual, habits kind of continued on even after the pandemic. But even just for online presence, and we turned to a different way of making art, which was just live streams and it allowed for a lot of exposure that I'm not sure I would have otherwise had. So I'm grateful for it in that way. It was definitely a dark time, but um, coming out of it, I was living in Toronto at the time. And New York was always my goal. I definitely wanted to end up here. So I've been here since September. And luckily, that I made that come true, which is really great. And it's just been such a blast. It's been a really wonderful experience so far. So, yeah, I don't know if that answers your
Yeah,
question.
it does. It certainly does. So Get Out of Town, talk to me about the new album. Talk to me about the artistic vision and how you feel about it.
Yeah, so with these albums, it's always funny because from the time that you record them to when you release them, there's a lot of time in
Yeah.
between.
Yeah.
I've shifted my perspective on that. I'm really proud of it. I think I try to look at it as just a moment in time. And even though there are some things that I would change, I mean, I was a different person then, and I'm super proud of it. I was really lucky to work with some of my idols, really. Like, it's just such a great band. And my friend Sam did all of the arrangements, and it was produced by Sam and Ben Patterson. And yeah, it was just a real team effort. And I think the beauty of these things is that it comes together over time. So, what I found with these songs is I'm a storyteller, so I love the lyric first. Of course, I love melodies, but I really did find that the songs kind of followed each other as one narrative, and so I kind of was playing on that and kind of created one storyline from that with all of these songs. And so when I pick songs for my albums, I don't really think about it too much, like especially for a standards album. I just kind of, I like this one, or yeah, I don't really put too much thought. It's sort of just what standards speak to me at that time. And yeah, and I think, I'm always interested in revisiting these tunes. How can I, of course, make them my own, not only through interpretation and how I'm gonna sing them, but especially through how can I dig into these tunes, and a song that's a ballad, how can I make turn that around and maybe make it a little bit more up tempo if it fits the lyric, of course. So I'm always interested in doing that, and where it's appropriate, of course. But I just had so much fun. I mean, it was such a Such a, yeah, recorded so long ago, but we've been with my team releasing them bit by bit as singles. And that's been kind of neat too, just to sort of have the story uncover. And yeah, I'm super proud of it.
So at the end of the day, what are you hoping the listener gets from this album?
I'm hoping that people can see themselves through these standards. I think of myself as an interpreter. I don't really compose, never say never, but as where I'm at in my life right now, um, I I always try to see a little bit of my life into these songs, and so I hope that people can just appreciate them. A lot of them are really old, and that's super special. It's timeless. So I'm hoping that not necessarily like people don't necessarily have to relate to the lyrics, but just, I don't know, that it inspires them to, like you said earlier, create any kind of form of art, to kind of keep that inspiration going. So, and just that they like it, I hope, and that maybe it opens them up to checking out other versions of it and, going down the rabbit hole of like historically seeing all the different versions, because I have so much fun doing that. And yeah, thanks to the internet, it's possible, right? Back then, you couldn't really do that.
Yeah, for sure. So the beauty of us interviewing right now is it's release day.
hmm
What do you do for release day? I mean, is there a celebration? I'm always
hmm
curious when it's actually happening, what's the celebration?
It feels pretty surreal. I treated myself to a haircut later. So that's, I don't
Yeah.
know that there's a ritual necessarily, but yeah, I mean, we have a nice bottle of wine, my partner and I, we're gonna have together later. Simple. I think, yeah, it's because the songs have been released over time. There's not so much that element of surprise. It's kind of nice actually, because in the past we've only done a few singles and then it's a little bit scary to release, 11 or 12 tracks. Just kind of nobody's heard them before, but this has been a really nice kind of slow build, so I
Yeah.
feel definitely a little bit calmer about it. But yeah, just the simple joys of life. We'll have
Yeah,
a glass of wine, and get a haircut, walk around. It's pretty rainy today, but yeah.
I dig it. So let me ask you this. Take me back to the beginnings of your life. How did singing and more specifically jazz become a part of your career and what you're doing today?
So I always had jazz playing in the house. My parents are both musicians, just it's just their hobby. They don't do it professionally, but I started out with classical music. And it's interesting because now I find I have a new appreciation for it, but back then I didn't so much. I really hated practicing. I'm an improviser, so for me, like to sit down at the piano and trudge through this Bach piece was absolute torture. But that's what I started with. I had a wonderful teacher, Narina Sarunova, who's based in Stamford, actually nearby. And she was great. That's not where my heart was. My dad played gypsy jazz, just for fun. So, he introduced me to all those songs. I didn't really think much of it at the time when I was young, but I'm actually named after a jazz standard. I'm named after the standard Laura, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, but my parents never pushed me, you know, towards the music in any way. Like they were always very supportive and, yeah, just like encouraged me to do what I loved. So I really started to take music seriously. I think when I joined the choir in middle school, I was in a band as well. I played the flute for a bit, but my heart wasn't in that either. Again, like anytime I had to sit down and practice, it was just that was the end.
Yeah.
But with singing, there was a performative aspect to it, and I loved the acting around it. And my dream was to be a lead in the school play. So I remember my middle school was putting on Seussical, the musical,
Yeah.
the Roald Dahl, and I had this dream. I was gonna be the main character, and I was a very shy kid. But I don't know. In my head, I guess I knew I had something to say, and so I would try out, and I knew I could sing the songs, but I was always so I never got the part because I would kind of cripple up when it came to performing it. And so then I joined the choir and I just loved the collaborative aspect of that, all the harmonies and then so I quit band and I just started singing in choir and then that continued through high school. And my choir teacher in high school spoke to my parents and said, "Oh, she should really take uh, some private lessons, one-on-one. I think that she really has something. You should really look into it." So my parents contacted a couple of teachers that didn't get back, and then we finally, got in touch with my teacher, who I still go to, Matthew Serapine, and the rest is history. I mean, he really changed my life in terms of vocal technique, which a lot of it was classical as well. And I'm really grateful for that because that was really the foundation of the singing for me. And then we started looking into more, musical theater repertoire, and it's all connected. There's so much of that jazz repertoire that overlaps. And I don't know, it's a weird age, like when you're in high school, you don't really know what you like. I mean, all these tunes, like I didn't really think much of it, but there's a certain satisfaction to singing them. And actually, I've always been a really emotional person, and um some of them really, I don't know, made me really like I loved Sarah Bareilles. I don't know if you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, she was really my biggest inspiration. So already the storytelling there, um, that was really the beginning. I would accompany myself on the piano by ear, and I just loved all her stuff. And she's such a great musician. So I really appreciated good musicians, good musicianship, and good tunes and good stories. And so then, yeah, I listened to a Bob Dorough song called "I've Got Just About Everything," and my
Yeah.
teacher showed me, and it kind of sparked something in me. It just, I don't know, I had a bit of a strong, like I had a bit of an inkling, like, okay, that's what did it for me, not the Ella stuff, which, of course I love, but that was really the beginning. That was the one tune that kind of created a bit of a shift in me, and it's actually the title track of my first album, which is kind of cool. And so then, yeah, we just explored a bunch of repertoire together, and it's a bit of a long story, but then
No, it's
I
good. It's great.
was introduced to a dear friend and mentor of mine that Matthew, my teacher, knew. And this is David Lom, who's a wonderful pianist, incredible musician. And his mom was Dorothy Fields. She was one of the great lyricists, who wrote so many of the tunes that we know today, like On the Sunny Side of the Street, The Way You Look Tonight, all these classics. So I was lucky to have that. So I had the technique from Matthew, and I really got he David really taught me all about delivery
Yeah.
and how important that was. So between the two of them, that was really kind of what crafted my style, I guess, my musical style. And I would commute back and forth from Connecticut, where I grew up, to New York City when I went to go and see David a few times, once a month or so. And he would show me these tunes. And I remember the train ride home just kind of like bawling, listening back to the session that we had, because I would record them because I knew it would be precious. And yeah, that it really, sort of sparked something in me. And then I fell in love with Frank Sinatra and Carmen McRae, Shirley Horn. Um, yeah.
That's great. No, so Sarah Bareilles, she did Phantom of the Opera, I believe.
She did a new, no, she's more of a pop artist, but she did write a musical called Waitress.
I'm thinking that there's
Um,
someone else that did that, and I saw them
mm,
perform, and they had really good pipes, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is great."
mm,
But Sarah's coming up for some reason on my radar, so she's more
yeah.
in the pop world.
Yes, she's
Okay,
amazing. Amazing.
yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
that's probably why I'm cognizant of it. Um, so let me ask you this: what motivates you every day? What do you like the best about waking up and being a singer, being in New York, being a creative? What is it that motivates you every day?
Wow, what a question. Well, I think you just said it. Environment is a big one.
Yeah.
It feels pretty surreal to be here. it hasn't been that long. So I definitely don't feel settled. It doesn't always feel real. Um, but something so simple as just like, sometimes I'll have my coffee in the morning and just kind of appreciating my apartment.
Yeah,
It just, yeah, that really just being having that balance of a comfortable, calm home, and then at the same time being able to walk down the street and work with people that I've looked up to for so long, and this constant sense of growth. With New York, it's such a hectic place, um, that I really take pride in like making my home really comfortable and calm. And we're in Brooklyn, which is great. Our neighborhood's awesome. And yeah, it's a real pinch me moment. I think it's in those little mundane moments where I have those realizations. And it's so important I love that question, actually. That's such a thoughtful question.
thank you.
Um, yeah, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I think I'm excited to see where everything goes. But even just right now, we live in a time where we're always thinking about the next thing. Oh, the next album, the next gig, the next, where are we going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
Right.
And there's always this sense of more, more, more. But it's so important to just, yeah, I just put out my third album. I'm working with world-class musicians. I'm good right now. Like
Yeah,
I'm happy. I have everything I need. And yeah, I guess that's what motivates me is to just try to stay grounded and
yeah,
take it a day at a time and just be grateful for who I surround myself with. I'm lucky to be close friends with so many of these musicians too. And um, yeah, it's an environment that really pushes me and really just, I haven't felt this inspired in a really long time. Like we'll wake up with my husband and we'll put a record on, which I can't remember the last time that we would do that. And yeah, environment is so important. And I just love like listening to, oh, this would sound really great with this musician.
yeah,
And yeah, it's just such a blessing, yeah, to have music in my life.
yeah. So the interesting thing about New York, coming from the outside and never living there, I've been there before, is that it's almost like everyone in New York with all their dreams are in a fishbowl and a Sinatra soundtrack is blaring for the
Mhm.
rest of the world, and we're looking in. So with that in mind, obviously you wanted to be in New York, you're in New York, and you're cognizant of that dream. But what was the stage that you always wanted to play on and you finally did? And you're like, wow, I'm in New
Mhm.
York on this stage. Have you had that moment?
Yeah. Um, I got to sing at Town Hall, actually. I opened for Melody Gardot, which was, I mean, and we opened duo with my good friend David, who's a great guitarist. And yeah, I mean, I think it was during sound check where we were just kind of like, oh my gosh, everybody playing on the. Yeah, so that was pretty amazing. Definitely don't take that for granted
Yeah,
because, I mean, that's just, yeah, and I wasn't even living here yet. I mean, that was really amazing. Not
yeah,
just, it's not even that big of an auditorium. Like I've done bigger, but there's um there's an energy in there. You can almost feel the spirits of all of those who came before. I had that also with Melody at Olympia in Paris, which was also really special because that room is really dry. And in auditoriums you expect there to be like, just the because of the nature of the room, the acoustics to feel, really lots of reverb but it was super dry in that room, so it kind of felt like we were just in a little like in a tiny room acoustically. But yeah, it was really surreal. So those two were really big moments. I don't think I've fully registered even now. That was a few
yeah,
years ago.
yeah.
Uh, yeah.
So let me ask you this. If you could get into a time machine and go back in time and see one jazz performance, where are you
Wow.
going?
That's such a great. There's so many.
There's so many. Like for me, from the singer standpoint, I'd like to see Ella the first time on the stage at the Apollo. Just
Oh,
to see
yeah.
that sea change of everybody. Like, here comes this little girl that's very shy and just blows the
Yeah.
roof off of the place would be crazy.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, I mean, there's so many,
Yeah,
but like Nat King Cole at the Sands, maybe.
yeah,
I think that would have been really amazing because when I listen to that album, I don't hear a difference with the studio stuff. I mean, yeah, and yeah, that would have been really special. There's
yeah,
so many. Of course, Sarah Vaughan
yeah.
probably would be up there for me as well. Ella, of course. But yeah, something about that recording too. Like I love the interaction with the audience. I'll have to think about that one
Yeah.
actually, but that's the one that comes off the top of my head.
Every time I hear Sarah Vaughan, I always think about a story. I interviewed Michelle Coltrane at one point, and
Mm.
John and Alice had moved to the West Coast. And she talked about a time when she got there. One of the first things that she saw when she was walking along the boardwalk was Sarah Vaughan riding a bike. And I've never gotten that out of my head. Sarah
Whoa,
Vaughan on a bicycle by the ocean. It's just
I
like
love that.
it's totally awesome. So let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, fans, everyone that knows you, everyone that is on the bandstand with you, but you run the show. What's your
Mhm.
perception of you? Who do you think you are?
You're really getting me with these questions this morning.
It's release day. We gotta be
Yeah, we're
reflective.
getting right to
It's
right to the heart of it. So I've always felt like there were two of me.
yeah,
Bit of like an alter ego, with the performer in me. Like I said, ever since I was little, I always knew I had something to say. I really wanted to get my point across. I always tell the story in like every interview, but my mom reminded me of this a few years ago that my parents were having a dinner party and I was little, I can't remember now. I must have been like 5 or so. And I was trying to tell one of the guests a story, and I guess I was sort of babbling or I wasn't making much sense, and I could tell that they couldn't understand me, and I threw a bit of a tantrum. Like it was really hard for me at that age because I wanted to get my point across, and yeah, so that's kind of interesting looking now. Like there's always this need to um be heard and say something and make a mark, you know? Um, and so when I started performing professionally, I always felt like it was just this other person, almost like it wasn't me. I could sort of step into a role.
yeah,
Um, And the older I get now, the more experience that I have, I feel like that, yeah, there's this other side of me, which is Laura at home, who's pretty anxious and timid. But I do feel like they're kind of coming together more and more now, sort of like joining together. Not quite there yet, but yeah, I mean, confidence is a funny thing, right? I
yeah,
don't think that you ever get to the end of that journey, but as far as identity goes, I really, I do feel like they're coming together now. So I guess that's the most honest answer I could
yeah.
give.
I love that answer.
Hmm.
So today's release day, May 23rd, get out of town. Is Bandcamp the best place? Where's the best place to get a copy?
We are working on the copies. There will be physical.
Okay.
Yes, we're doing CD and we're doing pre-order for vinyl as well.
Okay.
So yeah, that's still in the works, but you can find it. I mean, you can stream it, of course, but yeah, as far as getting it, I think on the label's website, but I'll have to double check.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah,
I will try to, I'll get the right link up there as well. Laura, this has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you for your story.
thank you so much.
Happy release day. Best of luck with the release. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Take
Jazz
care.
fans, Joe Domino here, the host of the weekly Neon Jazz radio show and regular interview series being produced and distributed from Lee Summit, Missouri. We are very excited to let you know about the second annual Lee Summit Jazz Festival taking place again this summer on June 28th at the Bridge Space, located at 210 Southwest Market Street in downtown Lee Summit. Following the success of the 2024 festival, the lineup will include Lee Summit students, Casey Area Youth Jazz, Paganova with Michael Pagan, Horoscope with Stan Kessler, Brad Gregory, Adam Larson, and the Lee Summit Jazz Orchestra. There will also be food trucks and vendors to round out a day of celebration. Early bird tickets are 2 for $30, and all details can be found at lsjazzfest.com. We can't wait to see you there.